Hello, everyone, and welcome back to round 7 of these elementary national championships
Final
here.
round.
Round 7, final round here in Columbus, Ohio. The tournament's gone pretty well so far. We personally have enjoyed doing commentary for some of the games. Some were really well positional played games, some great attacking games, and then there were a few heartbreaks, not just for the players, but for us as well, just kind of getting into the commentary part and, just feeling it for the players.
Yeah,
Some of the things that
absolutely.
happen.
I mean, the final game of the last round, absolute heartbreak. The result appears to have been confirmed. That game we were watching, where White was fighting the whole game, played a brilliant game, flagged in the end. Just unbelievable. Like,
Totally
ugh,
unexpected. It's
yeah,
not. And it's life. It's chess. We didn't really introduce ourselves anymore because we thought you know us by now already. But
where
if
you been?
not,
You know.
I'm Women's Grandmaster Sabina Foisor, joined by the wonderful
Oh, thank you.
co-host
Thank you.
Grandmaster Kayden Troff, and we cannot wait to get into the games. But before that, we thought we'd do just a bit of a recap to let you guys know where we stand with the players going into the final round.
Yes. So standings wise, this is probably the most fascinating section. We're gonna go through the top sections, the championship sections, starting with K through 6. Here there are
7, 8,
eight,
8
eight,
players.
8 players tied for first.
That's quite
Eight.
impressive, and they are playing against each other. So possibly 4 co-champions, or if they all draw, then they'll be met by even more. I think that would be
All draws. It's
an
what do you
unexpected.
do at that point? You run a blitz tournament to decide first place. Like, get rid of tie breaks. You have to run a whole nother tournament with all the players if that many people tie. It's yeah, this will be crazy. So many games to watch. Here we have Eden, you that was the beneficiary of the opponent flagging last round, got that victory, last game of the round, but in it up there, tied for first. Um, yeah, I don't, I don't know what to expect, but lots of games that we'll definitely have to keep an eye on. Over in the K5 championship, it's not so tied at first place. We actually have a clear leader, but this is important. Number 2, a half point behind. This is always one of those in a tournament like this that I have conflicted feelings when someone's a half point, because I know that they're going to come out swinging and they might be a little reckless, but I know they're going to come out swinging. They might be a little reckless. Like, they need the win. They absolutely have to get it to take first. So here, Sharath versus Ted, I expect to be an absolute battle.
Definitely. I mean, second place is good, but first is much better. So, Sharath actually has the white pieces, and being half a point behind, I think that's a plus. That's a bonus that could be helpful also in the psychological game. But he has to be careful, because if he goes a bit too much, if he overpresses, then things can go wrong too. Just because you have the white pieces doesn't necessarily mean that you can get the advantage,
Yeah.
outright advantage or anything like that. So
Yeah, it's of course it's a battle on the board, but the championship games like this is a big battle of psychology. So that will be it. Basically, it comes down to who's more composed, more than anything. And we actually have this a similar situation over in the K3 championship, where Sasha is leading with 6 points, but Ian 5.5. Once again, gonna be fighting for first pairings.
And still white
Ooh,
pieces. Still
five and
white
a
pieces
half.
for the 5.5
Ian,
player. So
yeah, that's ooh, some big battles. So it's kind of interesting because it's like K6. Who knows what's going on there? Let's be honest. 8 people tied for first. Tie breaks, draws. You know, there's probably going to be all of it. But then in the K5 and K3, even though there's less boards you kind of focus on for first place, doesn't mean it's any less exciting because both players with the white pieces half point behind need to come out swinging.
I agree. And of course, we have a few other tournaments that are taking place here. We have the K6 under 1400, which is also going to be declared a champion. And in that section, there's the same kind of deal with the 5.5 player playing against the 6 point player, also with the white pieces. So I feel like things have turned in a very mysterious way in the same, and we'll have to see how many of these actually get to be decided in the person with 6 points or the person with the 5.5. We have a very similar situation in the K6 under 1,000 too. But in this case, there are 2 players with 5.5. They probably played against each other and drew, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so I think what I'm gathering is K6 is the weird one. Everyone's got like, 6 points and a 5.5. In this case, 2 5.5s. And then there's the K6 that's like, yeah, 8 people are tied for first. Good luck, see what happens.
we actually didn't talk much about the K1, and we should go to show K1 too, because in the K1 section we have 2
Oh.
players left with 6 points. Maybe that is a game we actually do not have
Yeah,
any
I
live
don't
games
think
for
we have a
K1.
live game.
K1 players are playing in another room, actually here, and so they don't have any games live also. But I went to that room and these kids are all so tiny, it just reminded me of the times that I started getting into the game of chess and being passionate about learning and getting better. And, I was the tiny one. Everyone was making sure I was learning new things, or sometimes were paying a bit more attention to me than maybe I needed to, because now I just, love the attention sometimes, which is not very good. So but that's will be interesting to see what will happen in that championship as well. Though we don't have the live games, we'll try to see when the pairings are when the standings are
Yeah, the
posted.
final
We'll let you know.
standings go up.
We'll let you know what's going on. So the games have started.
Just starting, yes.
So we can definitely go check it out. First board is your favorite, the King's
Another
Indian
King's
again.
Indian, all right.
This time, Knight f3.
So I'm curious your take on this, Sabina. I played the Grunfeld as black. You can go look at my games. That's not a secret. I actually love playing against the Grunfeld.
Interesting.
Dark here
Can you
played-
tell me which lines so that
that's-
I can utilize it against you
That
next
part's not
time?
important.
Oh.
But
I tried.
Tarek here played the King's Indian last game. Seems confident playing with the white pieces now. How do you feel about that? Do you typically like playing against your openings? Do you dislike it? Where do you stand with it?
I think it depends on the specific line. Some things I don't mind, others I do mind, I guess. This particular line, I like it with white. I used to play it myself, this bayonet idea. This is probably one of those things that I actually studied, and I knew more than 10 moves for white as the theory,
Good
but
old
this was a
theory.
few years back. I have stopped playing it because of lines particularly like that. For black, I felt from a positional standpoint, I felt very unhappy with white, because I thought as soon as black plays a5, the b4 pawn goes away, then they play b6, and I have no counterplay on the queen side. And what do I do? That was, my first thinking. But Bishop a3 is the move here, and then takes, and then you will play 4a5, and white actually does have quite a bit of ideas here. And basically, you know, of course, black's plan is clear as well with knight h5 and f5 and such, but white certainly has his own counterplay on the queen side. So, I mean, it's since I don't play the King's Indian, I can't specifically say about this one, but there are a few things that I know I would dislike if my opponent plays the same thing that I do with the other color. It happens quite rarely, so I try to avoid it when I can. Like, I would just play something different, because I don't think there's a player on this planet that plays exactly the same as you do everything.
Yeah.
And so you usually can change between your lines, or alternate variations, or just different setups at least, so that you kind of getting something different. Is this what actually happened? Yeah. Oh, so he took. Okay, that's an option too. But the idea will still be bishop a3, bishop b4. You definitely need to get the a5 in.
Yeah, you gotta get something rolling on the queen side, of course. Very typical King's Indian. Black starts running on the king side to get pressure. White, queen side. Yeah, I also played some of the bayonet attack, and I don't know. Like, it was good, but I don't know if I had a particular love for it. Like, some lines that I play, I'm like, oh, it's so much fun. Like, I get excited if I know, hey, my opponent's playing this opening, I get to play this line. King's Indian, I don't know if it was one of those for me. Like, it's good. I've you know, I've won some games here, but I've also lost some games here. So it's just it's an interesting one. It's these locked up pawn structures are a bit different, and I guess for me, as someone that does like playing an opening like the Grunfeld, that typically is more open, or the Sicilian, typically more open, maybe it's not as much in my nature to play this type of position personally.
I see.
But
Okay. So what would you have played?
I mean, I'd still
Oh
go
well,
for
because you
it.
played the Grunfeld, but you played King's Indian when you did. Like, what did you
Yeah,
play?
I played against it. You know, it's been so long. I've actually been playing a wide variety based on my opponents. Like, the last few tournaments, I'll play. I mostly played knight f3, but also play e4 and potentially d4, just depending.
No, I meant with black.
Oh, black? Oh, I don't typically play the King's Indian.
I know, but sometimes you've played it in the past, didn't you?
Mostly just against you in our game.
Okay, okay, brilliant.
Surprise!
I got outplayed in my own prep. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Not main lines, just a little bit of side variations, because there are still some similarities between Grunfeld and King's Indian, and so on some lines I'll play a little bit more towards a King's Indian, but it's still pretty rare for me.
Let's check out the board 11. That being, you know, board 1 in a K5 championship, where we have Sharath trying to win against Ted Wang. So Ted is the one with 6 out of 6. And Sharath is 5.5, and they played a Sicilian.
We just
saw something like this, didn't we? But it was
we
pretty
just
bad
saw
for
this
black.
line.
It was bad for black.
It was the game where the bishop came out to f5, and
yeah, but the knights got traded off, and it was quite bad for black.
that was I think that was Sasha's game, if I'm not mistaken, from the last round. Was it like? Yeah, so very similar. Very similar. Except the difference here is white played knight d2. So in that game, the move that was played was bishop e3. Here, knight bd2 instead. But everything else the same. They actually followed the same line with c takes d4, queen b6, bishop takes c6. Interesting.
But the bishop was in e3 in that line.
Yeah. I don't feel like I've seen this too often. Like I've seen the Sicilian a lot. I've played the Sicilian a lot. I've played the Sicilian for both sides, white and black. But this line, it's actually the first time personally I've ever seen it. But I guess it's just because I don't play knight c6. I don't like to play knight c6. But it must be a pretty common-ish opening. If two games in two different sections here are getting into the same line pretty much.
Isn't there like a chessable course that someone's talking about the Rosolimo? Like I feel there's some these days. There's a lot of time spent on
That would add
chessable.
up.
I don't know
Good
who
old.
is whose course, but I've heard people talk about it. So I know there are a few in one of those lifetime repertoires that they discuss it. So
Yeah. It
well, you
does.
definitely need to go 94 with black because otherwise those positions are a bit unpleasant if you move the knight anywhere else.
Yeah.
And then with white, you just need to figure out how you're gonna set up your pieces.
Yeah, I mean I gotta say it. First glance, I'd rather the bishop be on e3 than the knight on d2. I mean, I don't think I really want to take on e4. So yeah, this knight to get the bishop out is going to kind of an awkward square here on b3. Could be a a little bit of an example where, okay, the k5 overall the strongest section here, but you gotta learn something from k3. The bishop e3 move. I don't know.
I feel like you would like this position for black because it's also your kind of pawn structure that you sometimes get from your Grunfeld, you know?
Yeah, Grunfeld, also in some of the Sicilian positions I play.
And Caro-Kann too, but you don't play Caro-Kann, you play Sicilian, so.
Yeah. But no, I actually do find these positions to be quite fun to play as black most of the time. Not always the best, but it does, in that sense, have sort of that Grunfeld feel where the opponent gets the central control and then you just attack. I like that. I like
Yeah.
it. I like attacking. So yeah, I think personally I would be perfectly happy playing this as black. This knight on b3 I think is a little bit awkward. Likely could be targeted with like an a5 a4. Can be a common theme against knights posted on these squares where you attack it with an edge pawn. But you know you just bring this bishop out, maybe bishop f5, bring the rook to c8. Okay, the one lesson we did learn from that game in the K3 championship section, do not play bishop f5 e6.
Yeah.
If you play bishop e5, make sure you leave your bishop some space, otherwise some high potential to get trapped with white pushing for g4.
So bishop g4 here probably could be. Can I take an? Oh, I don't have knight g5. Sorry, my bad. I thought I had knight g5.
Yeah, here g takes f3. I was wondering you normally would take back with the queen, but that knight is trapped on e4.
So I mean, I guess you could play bishop g4, attract h3 if you think that's gonna be a weakness, and then go back to d7 and have some potential ideas of sacrificing in h3 at some point, especially if you play some f6 and try to open up the f file, because then the knight would be hanging.
Yeah, I mean I was thinking about bishop f5, but I guess in some positions knight h4 actually becomes quite annoying with f3 ideas. So probably the bishop, if it is going somewhere, d7 does make a lot of sense. If white tries to move this knight, then we go f6 now? No.
Should we go queen b6?
Oh, because with the pawn on h3, knight g3. Okay, so I'm not worried about f3. Maybe first a5.
A5 a4, sure, that looks nice.
And then queen b6.
Yeah.
Or could it be better on queen c4 now? You provoke a4, you play queen c4.
Actually,
bishop
that's... I wanted it in basics because I thought I have some potential sacrifices in e5, you know, or in f2 or something at some point, but...
Yeah, my only concern here was just
Rook
trying to
c8.
keep it simple. Although, maybe knight f1.
Okay, now you're threatening maybe f3.
Hmm. It's weird because I mean the computer's showing is slightly better for white, but in a lot of ways it feels like white is just defending. Like it's white's reacting a lot more, but I guess somewhere it's just it's a solid enough position. Once white can start to kick, particularly this knight back.
Well, it's because
Maybe
white
some
has more
ideas start to
space,
open
so
up.
you're just retreating a bit and then trying to push that knight back, and then white will have more space if they manage to do that. It's one
Yeah.
of those positions where you can't really take everything yet, so you have to regroup before attacking.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that Ted, from some of the previous rounds, can play quite quickly. I like that he is pausing here. The opponent just played knight b3. I imagine not something that he's ever seen in preparation, because if this knight is going somewhere, I would guess these are more common moves, knight f1 or knight takes e4. So taking a moment, thinking it through, because from these lines that we're playing out, it feels that it is consequential. It's not one of those positions you just kind of develop and then you figure it out. Like you have to be careful. And already bishop e6, agreeing with the fact that, okay, I normally you do want the bishop out here, but not in these cases. Let's put the bishop on e6, get it out of the way so the rooks can start to come into the position, but not running into anything with like knight h4.
Yeah.
Interesting. Our K3 section.
Yes, board 19. Jan against Milo. It seems pretty balanced. It was Carol.
Oh, queen trade early.
That's quite an interesting approach by white, because we know that in order for white to be able to actually win this competition, he has to win the game because he's half a point behind.
Yeah.
But he goes for a very equal position, which is personally surprising to me. Also, queen trades too, quite early. I don't know if these two players have played before against each other, and maybe, you know, it was the kind of decision that was taken by their coaches, maybe.
I mean, according to the little bars over
Oh, they're
here,
both from New York.
could be friends, probably have played before then.
Friends, but only one can get first place. So, which one is it gonna be?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't take on d5. Like, even if taking on d5 is the best move here, I think you because of the tournament situation, definitely want to avoid it. I think something like queen f4 feels very reasonable, where you're trying to play bishop c4, put pressure on f7, maybe even have some queen c7 ideas. Okay, black can continue to chase, but at some points you're gonna avoid it. Maybe now queen a4. Okay, you can think where's gonna be the best place for this queen a bit more. But I if I'm playing for a win, I want to keep queens on the board and, you know, keep a little bit more complications, because this you can win. You can win from these positions. Lots of games have been decided without queens. But no, this position is pretty solid. It's not just that queens are off the board. It feels pretty solid for black. I like this a6 move, trying to provoke the capture, and then maybe going for c5 at some point, supported by a rook.
I wish white had time to take in c6 and then suddenly place his pawns a5, b4. But I think if you go b4, there's a5. Oh, you're just showing it.
Yeah, and then teleport this here.
Yeah, I mean, we won so many things with white. Even then, you're not better. Seems like
it takes a lot of time still. Yeah, but yeah, it's 100% b4, a5 now.
Yeah. I know. That's why I said that you wish you would play that. But we don't need to take the knight. I think we can probably go
Bishop f1.
back. I guess he played bishop f1.
Interesting. So
with white, what would be a good plan here? h3, g4? Bishop g2, switch the bishop over to that diagonal and try to see where black's gonna place their bishop. I think it's gonna have to go back. You have e5 controlled, so e5 is not possible for him. Just lower says knight d2, b3. I like that idea if black plays b5. Otherwise, I would probably keep it there for now, just to see. Just start with h3. Probably it will be met with h5 though.
yeah, which begs the question, what is black doing then?
Yeah, black would normally do a minority attack, but does he have time for it?
I feel like it's awkward because white controls the b8 square. Like, I
Well,
want
we
to
can go
support
rook
this.
a7, b7, but if it doesn't take too long.
I think now I would play this knight d2.
Rook a7. No, knight d2. Can I play b4?
Okay, that's right. That's why we play a3 first. That's public safety announcement. You play a3 first. Okay, rook a7. Now knight d2.
So now if I go rook b7, you go knight b3, and you make it right in time.
Yeah, and the rook will have to leave this file because rook b6, bishop c7 is actually gonna trap that rook.
Okay, but when you go knight d2, could I be obnoxious and play bishop c2 now, or you have rook c1?
What if the same idea? Although,
so who's
now
better if
b4.
like, yeah, do we,
or a4? Yeah, that's not, knight a5 is not it. I don't know if I like this b5, and instead we're seeing f6 on the board.
I like f6 better, f6 e5. Since you don't have time for b4, if you had time to play b5 before, I would definitely go for that idea, because you're just, you know, opening up your bishop, creating a weakness in c3, but yeah.
Yeah, it's it'd be an interesting position. I hope e5 happens and it turns into more of a battle, because this is the type of position, like I said, games have been won in these end games without queens, but it could also turn into something very solid. That possibility does feel more likely without queens on the board. So black gets in e5, it turns into a fight. I'm here for it. So what other games? I guess we should probably go check out some of the other K6 games, since technically down to board 4 is tied.
So Eden is the one who's been gifted a full point.
Yeah,
out of a
opponent
lost
flagged.
position, and he has to take his chances now. I mean, he has a chance to become a co-champion in this group, because there are 8 players. 8 players tied with 5 out of 6 in the K6 championship. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a tight race.
Very tight.
It's kind of funny. The chess.com in the background is classifying this now as a Caro-Kann, which
transposition is like a pun of.
Yeah. I have noticed the Alpin, I do think that is because of chessable courses is becoming more popular. I don't know if this was everyone's experience, but when I first picked up the Sicilian and then I started playing the Najdorf, going into the open Sicilian wasn't weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of normal to get some fun battles going into an open Sicilian, and I loved it. I thought it was the
Mm-hmm.
best. And then it was like this period of time where people pretty much played closed Sicilians. Like no one wanted to go into all the exciting lines. Instead, it was a bunch of closed Sicilians where they avoided it, and it became a lot slower, more positional battles. And then it seems like it's kind of shifted to Alapin. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
No, I
open, it's not
agree.
closed, it's Alapin. Like 75% of the Sicilian games I feel like I see nowadays in tournaments are these Alapin games. A lot, I believe, due to some chessable courses. If
Mm-hmm.
people, Alapin is kind of that fine middle ground. It's not a closed Sicilian, but it's not entirely an open Sicilian. It's kind of it's a mainline sideline.
I agree. Alapin and also Rossolimo or Moscow variation with Bishop B5 stuff.
Yeah.
Those things have become quite popular. I have a few friends who played the Sicilian and they told me they don't want to play that anymore because they never get the open Sicilian anymore. There's not even a point to study it. I mean, that was just a statement that I heard a few times. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it's shifting a bit.
Yeah.
There's way more theory to learn in Open Sicilian for sure. And other ones you have to deal with specific things like here, it's a positional game, could get into an attacking game, but I think black got a very good setup against the isolated pawn. He's already attacking that pawn. Bishop g4 is an option. White didn't get knight e5. Maybe white went wrong somewhere, or because
Checking.
that shouldn't. I feel that white didn't get any of the good things that they normally get. The bishop doesn't belong to e2 for sure.
It looks like, just taking a look at the opening database on chess.com, that it is a lot more common for whites to put quick pressure on this d5 square, knight c3, queen b3, bishop c4. Instead, Eden went for sort of just developing, but now that knight looks super cozy on d5. It's having a good time. It's chilling by the fire. Absolutely no concerns. I feel like black could probably just play maybe queen d6, rook d8, and it's an advantage. It's just going to be a long-term pressure against d4. Okay, white might need to start doing something, h3, g4, or bishop g, or just something to get play going, b4. But isolated pawn, where your opponent comfortably controls the square in front of it, is just suffering most of the time. So this was board 2.
Yeah, let's go to board 3.
3, a French.
Hello, casual player. Yes, this is the final round of this championship, and we have some interesting results or things that are possible, I guess, for these championships, because in K6, for example, there are 8 players tied for the first place with 5 points, and all the other sections almost have 2 players that are battling it out for the first place, because one of the players is on 5.5 and definitely has to win. The other person is on 6 out of 6, and draw is sufficient in order to become sole champion. So that's quite unexpected. I don't think I've seen that before ever in these nationals, and I've been doing commentary for a few years now. I don't think that is something that I've seen in all of the tournaments, you know. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to kind of look into the psychology of the openings chosen. And
Yeah, and I do want to say on that note, it's nice to have the white pieces, but I feel like Hikaru Gukesh that game, final round of the candidates showed it's not so easy. Hikaru was a half point behind, had the white pieces, going after Gukesh, and got absolutely nothing. Like,
Yeah,
got
that's true.
zero advantage, almost borderline zero chances to play for a win. And Hikaru's fantastic. So, kudos to Gukesh on the opening and how he played and just shutting Hikaru down. But it does show that while yes, white is a slight advantage, it's easier said than done to just go win. Just go get a good position. Although with that said, this one of the boards, or the two of the players that are tied for first is looking fantastic for white.
Yeah, extra space. Black didn't play f6 or something? He must have missed something here.
I was checking the opening a little bit. C takes d4 is
And f6, right?
and
Yeah.
f6
I played
is
this line with black myself, and here after the capture you can take with the queen or with the knight, and then you have the backwards e6 pawn, but you can get a better position too. So it's typically how I remember it being played.
yeah.
You can't really combine queen b6 with f6 because you took your queen away from there. And also bishop e7. Interesting. But you're not going to castle short. You're putting the bishop there to control g5, but what's your development going to look like now?
Well, you say g5, I want to play g5.
No, not here, because knight h5.
Yeah, I really like this knight f4 move because now f6 or any pushing this pawn just became a lot more difficult with pressure on e6. You probably have to go slow with black, play like b6, bishop b7, and this is okay. This isn't a terrible strategy. White definitely has the advantage. White could probably get some pressure against the king side, but you can just kind of develop and say, it's up to you. You decide when to break through. I'm going to be there ready to take advantage.
Well, you need to try maybe even a5, bishop a6 to trade the light square bishop with black. At least if you went for this route, you might as well just do that. Because here, knight h5, g6, or king f8, I don't know.
Wait, actually, now I
don't
want to put this back.
Can I go knight g5 or you'll start pushing me back?
I'm going. Okay, computer.
Can I go knight takes c6? I'm just wondering, I don't know, queen g4?
Wait, now? Maybe?
Maybe I should have checked you first.
Wait. It's not the move.
Wait. Could I play knight takes g7 instead of queen g4? Wait. Wait. Or f4, f5 is too slow. Knight takes g7, bishop takes queen h5, check. No.
What about instead of sacking the knight, just knight f4 here? Same kind of idea.
Yeah, how do you protect e6?
Probably still this knight b8
Queen
move.
h5?
Queen h5, king d8. The computer's not sure. Bar is jumping up and yeah, there it goes, back up.
But it's not as big of an advantage for white as I thought, but you have a lot of compensation for the sacked piece. That is quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, and that's a interesting idea there, casual player, to actually sacrifice back at some point. The potential downside...
Bishop f4, rook e1.
Yeah, it could be rook e1. So strangely, you may even want to take...
But bishop f4 just traps your queen, actually.
Oh, shoot.
You have no moves, right? Where are you going?
Okay, so I guess
Knight
takes.
Knight takes has to happen. Bishop, queen g3.
G3.
Bishop g6. Oh, bishop g6 you can't. Maybe you can just go bishop b7 and bishop f4. Bishop d6.
This feels like...
Yeah, should be good for white. This is good for
Yeah.
white.
Yeah, no, maybe sacking the knight, because you're gonna be under pressure anyways. Try and keep the material. I know I'm not sure about knight g5 yet for either side. But well, actually, what about knight takes f7? What's the same idea? Just put the king on f7.
So we couldn't have it in f7, or we can take it in e6. So where was it better? I mean, you think that's better for white? The king is in f7?
I was thinking so. Because you do, I mean, f4, f5 is a little bit slow, but it does look scary.
Just lover. No, we were suggesting bishop f8 for black after knight h5.
Yeah,
The bishop is in
believe...
e7. The bishop was played in e7. I think that's...
Yeah, no moves
No
have
moves.
been played since knight f4.
Yeah, we suggested just take it back. We made a mistake. We don't think the bishop belongs, and just kind of go protect g7 that way, not to create any pawn pushes, because if you push any of those pawns, dark squares could be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, seeing that type of variation, it does make me want to play something like g6 here. It's not my favorite move. It's yeah, that's end of the sentence actually. It's just not my favorite move. But if the bishop is on e7, we don't want to have to drop it back. Knight h5 is particularly annoying. It feels necessary to stop.
Yeah.
And maybe go for like an h5 setup.
I don't think that's gonna work. I'll definitely sacrifice in g6 if you push the h-pawn. I'll go h4 now, and then if you go h5, I'm going for the sacrifice. I can probably take 3 pawns.
I don't know what I did, but I just feel like you want to destroy me here. Sack all your pieces.
Yeah, it's your fault, Kayden.
No, it's it definitely calls for
I'm gonna
it.
get you back.
With
Revenge.
revenge.
Revenge is coming.
No, with how undeveloped black is, or how the pieces are kind of stumbling over each other, of course, it's a continual consideration. The last board in the K6 that is tied for first is this one. This is an Albin counter gambit. It's been a good minute since
I lost once against this. I was playing with white pieces.
I was trying to casual player. I was trying to remember black forced to trade on d5 first so that the light square bishop can be brought into the game. d5 first? You mean
I think
d4?
it was... Oh, if black should play. It depends in those situations. You could take and try some knight b4 actually with black in those positions, but bishop e7 was slightly inaccurate for sure. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. g6 was played, by the way. Knight f4 g6 has been played in that previous game.
Yeah. So avoiding knight h5. Hello Seattle, welcome by the way. I don't know if I've ever gotten the Albin in an actual classical
I have,
game.
and I lost. I was winning, but I lost, and it was so sad. I was so winning.
Interesting one.
I just fell for a tactic, a very simple tactic.
I mean, this.
I get it on Blitz, in Blitz quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean it has some tricks to it, and it's unconventional.
So what I see usually black doing in these types of positions, they usually try to go queen d7 long castle and actually try to trade fast your light square bishop in g2 and then start h5 h4. But not exactly here. I don't know.
What if I just go for it? What's the downside? These aren't my pieces. h4 h5 h4. mean, black is playing pretty quickly thus far.
You don't have a threat, so can I go b5?
Wait. Now I gotta
You do have a threat?
make a threat somehow. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay.
I'm taking your knight. It's like, can I?
Okay. Hold on. Let's... Actually, what if I don't go crazy? Not yet, at least. I save that for later.
Bishop b2? No, but you're gonna take in g3. I don't like it.
What if I just take... I can just take.
No, because I
what
take
am
a knight
pondering?
taking d4, right?
So I should play bishop
Oh
c5
wait, I have
first?
queen. No, I don't have queen c2 because you have bishop e6. But
Yeah, maybe I'm just... Wrong bishop. Okay, take first. Take, and then bishop c5.
94.
Oh, 94, yeah. Okay.
This is
Attempt
messy.
number 3, d3.
That is a typical move that people who play this Albin.
This, I mean, as far as just running the h-pawn, it's not bad. Queen a4, yeah, there's... Excuse me.
It's meant with
Kind of...
oh, I thought it's meant with b3, b6.
You have to watch out for this diagonal.
Well, I don't care about the rook. I'll be glad if you would take it. Then your king will be in super much danger. The queen a4 is something that Sam Shanklin seems to be suggesting in his chessable course, according to Casual Player.
Yeah, queen a4. It's... this probably won't happen. Okay, h5 was played. Maybe it might happen, actually. What I was gonna say is, I think it's the way you play as black. You know, like, if you just sit around, then this is an ideal position for whites in the Albin. Taking the pawn is protected, you're developing as white. I think this slightly more dramatic approach of h5, h4, it doesn't have the biggest threats yet, but it does start to open the door to ideas like knight takes g3 at the end of that line, bishop c5, and starts to complicate things, which I think is not a bad strategy in a high pressure round.
For sure. Yeah.
I actually had something similar in a tournament, the US Junior Championship, where high pressure situation, I started throwing some pawns with g5, h5, and it worked really well. So it's practically it can be a decent option, but particularly in a high pressure situation, no matter how bad you feel that the pawn storm or your opponent's attack is, you're still going to be nervous about it.
Yeah, I remember, so the first WGM that I won against, she played against me some Benko, and you know, at some point I wasn't sure about my line anymore, what I should do, so I just started attacking her on the king side. So I had king side castling, right? So I just go g4 and stuff. It was terrible. If you put the engine, it's definitely totally lost.
Like, I don't know.
And
I don't feel any pressure.
but she panicked. She started thinking a lot, got into time trouble. She was the kind of player who would normally get time trouble. And it worked out, and that was my first win against the WGM. And then
There you go.
ever since, I just kind of love the just g4 move if I can do it. Like it, in a game, it's a good thing. That's why I always sign the g4 square if you ever ask me to sign something. Yeah, because it just brought good memories. I've beaten a few GMs as well with playing that move at some point during the game, and it was a good good move.
Yeah.
So that's why. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I heard once an interview by Judith Polgar, and she was saying she did like the g4 pushes. And then she has a very famous game that she beat Shirov with some g5 with black in a Sicilian. So
Yeah.
it's it's that g pawn push that you want to be mindful for, I think. So, anyways, just as a side story, so we saw the top 4 boards, which are the most important in K6 for the time being. Let's go to board 11 if you'd like.
Yeah. Just want to those in chat, I do agree 94 is also another interesting idea. Board 11.
I think I lost internet on my end. Oh no. That's not good.
Sabina, come back.
No,
Whoa.
it disconnected for me. I'm thankful that you're...
Oh. This board 11 is very interesting.
This is bad.
Sabina has been
Yes.
disabled with no internet.
No
The
internet.
internet
So
is crashed here.
I can't see anything. I don't know.
So for now, let's say this game is not interesting. Although it is a point. If it's really not working, we could take just a short break while the games are starting to heat up and come back to it in a little bit.
Yeah, it's been we've been live for about an hour or so. So you can take a break, figure out my internet, and we'll be back. So
we'll
stay close.
come back to this game. Wow. I'll have to keep thinking about this, but this one is really interesting. So we'll be right back.
See you soon. Welcome back, everyone. We figured out some of the glitch on my computer, and we're ready to get back to that position.
Just a quick breather. I had a whole snack line while I was on break while she figured out the internet.
Did you get the?
Yeah,
Oh, you left me some cookie. That's surprising.
So I've been eating that cookie. I also have some beef and broccoli from an Asian food place pretty close to here. So I was eating some spring rolls, some beef and broccoli.
That was
some
really
cookie.
fast. We were only gone for a few minutes.
Hey,
you were fast. You're just taking advantage of your time.
Gotta make sure, yeah. Gotta get that boost, right? Gotta get back into it. We do have this board 11 pulled up. Some pretty big changes since we last looked at it. When we looked at it, Bishop E6 had just been played. And all this, not too weird. Queen B6, Rook C8. But where this position started to really take a turn was here with Bishop G4. Sharot here actually leaves the knight to play knight C5. Well, as Bishop takes F3, G takes F3, and now Rook D8.
Oh, what's the point of Rook D? Oh,
just to guard against the fork.
No, there was no other move.
I feel like there was even. Maybe Queen B5, A4, but Rook C7 apparently blunders to Knight A4. Oh, because there's no place for the queen. Okay, so
this is not looking very good.
Maybe a bit tricky. E6 now. F5. Okay, I see this.
Actually, I like F5.
Yeah. So I see this evaluation. I typically prefer these positions as black. I find it's just really easy for white to forget about this pawn, or maybe not forget about it, but all of a sudden it's falling, right? Because you can't really connect it to another pawn.
But it's not so easy for black to get it now because the rook is in D8 now. You can't go back to F8 because of knight D7 ideas. And you also need to find a way to get away the queen from B6 to play B6. I don't know how you're gonna do that. Rook C7, there's always gonna be knight A5 potentially, and you might lose something.
Yeah.
Rook C6, but
okay, it's not black to move, but I was thinking Rook C6.
Queen A7 is casuals player's suggestion. But that takes a while, and I don't know.
Okay, it is white to move. What about H4? Just to prepare H5. Just to have a move. Rook C6, Knight D7 is what I was thinking, but
Queen C7.
Oh no, I'm hanging D4. That's.
Oh yeah, we can take that directly. Never mind. Even better.
Okay, so Rook C6 I think is black's idea. Play Rook C6, Rook C8 first, pin, and then you consider, potentially Queen A7 or Queen D8 or just any way to move the queen and play B6. So white likely wants to address this. But how? Okay, wait.
A4?
So there's a few ideas to go after black's queen here. A4.
A5, Queen C7.
Queen C7. There's just this long-term pressure on D4 that's annoying. One other idea could be Rook C3. A little sneaky Rook B3 attack. But, maybe Queen A5 though. Okay, this blunders Knight takes B7.
Okay.
This Knight on C5.
I know
the bane of my
knight
existence.
is really weirdly placed. In a way, you like it, but in a way, it's just in the way.
Yeah.
But it's nice that the bishop in G7 doesn't get to it. So you can keep it there. It's very unpleasant.
Okay, maybe queen b4. Apparently, I'm still
I gotta
not
move my...
playing right moves.
Okay, I need to protect the d4 pawn. Somehow with white. Not sure how.
Although, you could just play...
No, but you're
No,
taking
take-
d4, right?
There's no, because... I was kind of hoping that... Because I was thinking about this idea when the queen was on b4, where the queen is hanging, so you have to take, and then rook takes d8. But now, sadly, you could just ignore me.
I mean, we can't go knight b3. But then we don't keep the file or anything. It's just
Yeah,
not the ideal situation.
there's
Okay,
a
just
missing
can we just
move.
protect his rook d1?
Okay, that's keeping the evaluation.
And then a3, and then rook b3. Ooh. Ooh.
I know. I'm a sucker for pain. What can I say?
I just don't... Can I go knight b7? Like, what's your plan? Oh, knight b7, you go rook f8.
The queen putting pressure on d4. That was the reason for a6, queen a7. Which is starting to make more sense. I'm kind of on board, but how do you defend against rook c3? Because a6, boom.
Yeah.
I calculated one thing correctly, and it's rook
You're
b3.
sticking to it.
It's rook b3. I have one
Let's
idea.
go.
I have one
Let's
idea.
go.
So that needs to be responded to. It's not feeling like queen b4. I don't know. I don't know who to like in this position. b4 was played.
Well, that certainly takes away the ideas with the rook on the b file.
That was my one idea.
No, it went away.
One
You need to
thing I
come up
liked.
with something different. a6. Is he planning to go a4, a5? And just hold on to the knight in c5?
a6.
Just ensure it forever?
Casual player liking a6 all this time. And with what's happened to the game, it seems like the perfect moment. Like, perfect. Screw my rook c3. We got a6. At least one of us can find moves.
a4?
Okay, so a5 to try and discourage.
Yeah, this is the only thing I'm thinking about for white to kind of utilize the b4 push.
Yeah, which is annoying. Maybe now rook c6, and then like queen c7 instead. So
Now, what's your plan?
I don't know.
Okay.
Not lose.
You're just holding on, but the knight becomes even more unpleasant now that the pawn is in a5. So it's double edge. It's a double edge position. Both players have something.
Yeah, it's there's some annoyances for both sides. This knight is annoying. I've lost like 10 games to knight tactics already. But this bishop exists, and the pressure on d4 is tying down the queen, which is great. I mean, I'll trade a bishop for a queen anytime. So I think that's why something like this position is actually showing relatively balance. Okay, come on, computer, figure it out. There we go, relatively balanced. Thank you very much. Because yeah, while white has this knight, black has this bishop. Somewhere it's sort of balancing out. That both sides have things to worry about. Both sides are struggling to break through. And so it's a game. It's a 3 results game by all means.
Certainly. I agree.
There were some big developments on our board 1.
Yeah, looks like Tariq is having a pretty good position. So I don't know what happened earlier, but it was
So
definitely
much has
not.
happened.
This was the King's Indian, right? The bayonet, and he's gotten definitely something on the queen side, while black didn't get much on the king side.
Okay. Nothing.
I guess black went for some trades. So did he allow some kind of...
Oh, I don't like this. I don't even know if I like knight takes e2. Now, it's not really that bad because
Bishop d2 maybe? d7, I apologize. Bishop d7 probably.
yeah. Like bishop d7, even like queen c8 and then like bishop h3
Or bishop
or
g4 kind of ideas to figure
knight
out.
c8. Yeah, bishop g4 probably then queen c8. Like this is the king's Indian nature. You attack. You don't trade. It's
So, casual player, so you see after b4 was played, black played b6, and the problem is once b6 is played, white doesn't have the breakthrough which normally they have with c5, and that's the reason why I need to bring the bishop to b4. So you can play a5 first, make sure that gets traded off, and then you get to play c5.
Yeah.
Otherwise, white's plans on the king, black's plans on the king side will bear some fruit. Something is gonna happen there. But for white, you'll be stuck. So you really need to get that a5 in, or sometimes they go knight b5 and there's a capture there, and then the pawn structure changes. But you definitely need to still have some kind of break and open up the position on the queen side.
Yeah. No, I overall, like, there are a lot of little moments I think we could talk about here, but so much has happened that we just have to show what has happened. Just overall, though, I feel like black's play was not in the nature of the king's Indian, and it's starting to show.
Way too many trades, wrong kind of trades. Now white is up a pawn.
Is this game over? Queen? I mean, this...
I guess you can take with the pawn too, right? Or you prefer with the queen?
It's one of those that I would say I feel that pawn takes is better, but queen takes, if the queens are getting traded, let's talk about simplicity. If this is just a winning endgame, it's a winning endgame. I don't know, maybe black can avoid it with queen. Nope. Because I guess now, what do I play? I play, probably just queen takes b6. At least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. That seems fine for white.
So I guess he's thinking about it, which is fair.
Thinking about with which piece to capture in c6, yeah.
Yeah, which could mean the instincts are good. Tarek's instincts might be spot on. That the feel is b takes c6 is better, but the pressure situation, you want to play queen takes c6. You just want to eliminate any sort of counterplay, get the queens off the board. So a little bit of back and forth consideration. Just to check this for a brief second. It's winning, but to me this isn't so clear. Well, maybe c7. Okay, I was going to stand by my original point. It's not so clear. I was thinking that you play... Oh, but bishop h6. The bishop starts to come in. Now this rook has a bad choice. You have to give up one. So
okay.
yeah, I would play queen takes c6 just from the little bit of analysis.
That we're done,
okay. What about the queen trade? What if you go for this?
Well, you don't have time for rook c8 because I take him b6 and b7, so...
Yeah, and if takes, we play probably rook takes.
Yeah.
And
rook c8, c7 anyways.
It's kind of what I call a free advantage. Like, you have the advantage, likely you are winning, but overall it's pretty clear that you're just pushing, and you should never lose this position. So, oh, he did play b takes c6 though. Okay. Question mark. Hey, nothing against Tarek, but my own personal pride after saying queen takes c6 is happy to see the question mark. No, it's an understandable move. It feels really good to have this pass pawn, have the queen behind it. But this bishop And maybe this is the difference. This bishop actually starts to come to life now. I feel like with the queens getting traded off, the bishop could do stuff, but I wouldn't say it's really coming to life. It's just participating like any other piece would. Now this bishop can actually be a problem, which we already did see after the c7 variation, where bishop h6, and suddenly this is equal. Or maybe even slightly preferable for black. The queen and the bishop, the queen and knights are legendary combinations and working together. But these dark squares is open, the f-pawn is gone. I think the queen and bishop will actually be a little bit superior here.
I have an idea, Kayden. So if you go rook c, what do you play here? You're taking a5, right?
Yes.
All right, can I go queen d5?
Yes. I understand.
Yeah. I'm trying to trade queens, and I think that...
Okay, I am losing.
c7, you have queen b6.
I was thinking queen b6, rook c8, but I think the issue is now you probably can play rook c1. Bishop h6 is no longer a big deal. There's queen takes e5 ideas. There's even just rook c6 because the queen is no longer hitting the back rank. So yeah, that queen b6 was my idea to guard d8 against queen d8. But it's not there. So queen c7. Okay, casual player.
Okay, but can I take rook takes a5 now? Just take the pawn?
How did you want to take?
With the rook?
With the rook.
You will... Oh, wait. Can you take in queen b6? Maybe you activate your queen. I gotta be careful, actually.
That is a good point by Chess Lover in the endgame as well. At some point, if it ever gets to a king and pawn endgame, the c6, knight b7 keeps the king completely blocked out.
I wish I could play queen d7 here, but you have queen b6 and you take my knight in b3, which...
I was starting to feel like you play king h1.
Or maybe knight c5.
Okay, knight c5. Let's go more aggressive.
It's probably not good. I have a feeling it's not good. Rook d8.
Yeah, rook d8. Wait, hold on. Oh no, taking comes with check. So I was thinking
You're
like
trying to be fancy.
No, so there's if the king, okay, now I want to check if the king is on h1. How do we do this? This is
play h6 or something. You can't move
I can't even do it. Okay, I want to waste a move with the queen. Hold on. This is important, y'all. No.
It still doesn't work.
It still doesn't work.
Bishop f6, I think, right?
Oh yeah, bishop f6. Okay.
The worst case.
At what point does this work?
I don't think
there it goes. So here's my idea. I'm a genius. Bishop e7. You hit the queen. Queen b6.
You made so many mistakes
No.
for him.
Look at this. Queen b6. But look how nice this idea is. Now you get d8, and the knight actually covers the square of the king, forcing the sack, and you're winning. See,
and the knight catches like by one tempo. Is like perfectly by one tempo.
Yeah.
Not just like.
See, it was a flawless strategy.
Yep, perfect.
But it's likely not going to happen. I understand that's very high level stuff. So
where are we? Where are we exactly? Because I just wanted to see if something.
You probably just play like.
No, there's queen a7 and then. Right, you just go queen a7, trade queens and rook c8 and that's gonna be an equal position. No, so I can't do this probably.
No, then you. But. It's not our pieces. We can afford exactly. It's easy chess.
Very
Not
easy.
pieces. Well, there's gotta be. Is it knight d7? Just hold. Rook c8. Not rook
Maybe.
c1. Rook
Why not?
c1 it doesn't like. Oh. We just take. That's because it just wants us to take the free stuff. Okay. That makes sense.
We
We
don't
take
have
stuff.
time to take in c6 with black because of the back rank, so...
Yes, here lose the bishop drops. Okay. So what's this game again?
Where we went so far away.
Yeah,
we get way too much into these lines sometimes that...
Hey, in fairness, knight e6, all that with d8 queen, it's still possible. I still believe we're completely relevant. It might be a sign because I feel like this is a good time for Tarek to take a moment. He is taking a moment here to potentially check in with another game.
Yeah. Let's go back to board 3.
Oi.
You started Australian talks these days, Kayden.
Yeah.
You have gone to Australia, haven't you?
I used to be more. The only word I really use quite consistently is mate. I still call people mate. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to say heaps and rubbish, and okay, that's a
British
thing too. But Australia, yeah.
I see.
There are a few other things that I picked up from Australia that I'm not going to repeat on stream.
Yeah, don't. But did you get any of the accent at all for some time while you were there?
Not really.
No?
It was one of those, if an American goes to Australia and picks up an accent, I'm fairly sure like you have to intentionally try. Like I didn't pick it up even the least bit.
Okay, so you're not trying to get it.
Yeah, no,
I see.
I used to be able to kind of speak with it. I'm not going to do it anymore because it just doesn't sound good, but
pretty sure Australia's would
oh no, the Australian accent is good. My attempt,
I see.
And I say attempt purposefully, at an Australian accent is not good.
I see.
Yeah, d takes c5. Excuse me.
I'm not liking black's position. Black is struggling here. Knight in f8. Maybe he'll survive somehow.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Okay.
This does look like trash. It does look like rubbish for black. But how? How do you actually beat me?
Well, what's your plan here?
To cry? Okay, I'll start by taking on g5.
Yeah, I'll take with the well.
Okay, knight h7 was played. I was gonna play knight h7, but I was thinking take first.
I probably would have taken the h knight, I guess.
Yeah, h knight h7.
And h7, I go back.
Sneaky.
No, I just simply don't want to trade. You got no space.
That makes sense.
Okay. You ain't got no space. Queen f4. I don't know.
I'm not checkmated. That's all I'm saying.
Not yet.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad. Don't play that. Let's. I feel like that doesn't.
You want a castle?
Well.
No.
I don't want to do any. I don't want to play this position, but why am I losing now? 87. What? I'm actually.
Maybe they meant queen h6 before queen f4. Maybe my queen f4 was a bit too much. I don't know what it was.
Oh, queen h6 now. So I was thinking if you play queen h6 right away, queen e7 saves the day.
Yeah.
And then queen f8. So I guess that's the problem. If queen f4, knight e7, now I don't have queen e7. And I actually don't gain time with knight f5 because you take and I have to spend a move taking back. So no knight e7. So we play king f8. We don't play king f8 because bishop takes g6. The pawn would be pinned. Yeah, okay. I'm starting. Looks. Yeah, I'm starting to understand. Okay. Queen e7. Queen e7. Queen e7. It took so many tries. Queen e7.
A3.
All right, now I cancel.
Oh, you castle on that side. G4. G4. Let's go.
All right.
Oh,
all right. All right.
it doesn't
wait,
like my move.
Wait. Counterattack.
No,
Flawless
because
strategy.
that
Okay.
doesn't work. I take an
You just take
h5.
on
You
h5,
should
yeah.
probably go f6 maybe.
Oh, counterattack. It's not +4. that's all I'm saying.
True. Maybe I should play queen h6 first since you castled. No, you don't have queen f8.
Well, so that's why I played queen e7 first.
No, I
So
know,
could-
but now you got yourself stuck with the castling. So now can't go knight g5.
and I run away.
Okay, then you don't get queen there, so now I can go g4.
And now
f5. Wait, f5. No. Go back. I don't do that.
See, I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, but you
here.
put the wrong knight. I don't put that knight. I put the other one.
Well, you said knight g5.
Yeah,
so
well,
I get
didn't
a
say which
pick.
one. No,
yeah,
F.
exactly.
Knight
I picked
F.
the one that's worse because
Knight
I'm
F.
playing for black, obviously.
Knight f4.
My ploy. Yeah, and then knight takes h5 is over.
We like this for white.
Ugh. I worked so hard just
No,
to
but
lose.
I mean, it's definitely holding for a bit, and white has to find. Although it's a close positions and you think you can maneuver around the way you want, it's not as easy. If you maneuver around the way you want, you might actually get escape, miss some opportunities.
Yeah, you have to be careful of f6. I feel like f6 is still very relevant in being an idea for black. And I kind of like this a3. I find in these positions, if you don't have a clear way to just destroy your opponent, it just increase the pressure. Play a3, b4, so b5 is a concern. Moves like queen f4, queen h6, just increase the pressure, give your opponent more and more to worry about, and it's very likely at some point that they do break, and you suddenly
and
do have
definitely
that
don't
destructive
trade.
blow.
Don't trade pieces also because they're lacking space.
Yeah.
Well, casual player, that's good.
Get some good chai.
Chai, some good one.
Yeah, that's
Indian chai is
Tony,
good.
my streaming partner, he loves chai. Like, I don't fully understand it personally,
Have
but
you tried it or no?
I have.
You have, and you didn't.
It wasn't my favorite, no.
Well,
But-
maybe he doesn't do a good job of making a good kind of chai.
I
Does he brew it or like at the?
No, he went and bought one for me once.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if you get the one from specific places, it's very sweet. But if you get the right ingredients, to make the Indian kind of chai, that also has cardamom and spices, and you brew it with a bit of sugar or no sugar. I prefer no sugar myself. Then add the milk.
Sounds like way too much work already.
Well, if you're gonna get a good kind of chai, you need to prep.
Where's the lazy option? I just
Lazy option.
Where's the lazy
Well,
option?
you need to get a mixed, loose leaf tea that's mixed already with all the spices. So you just put it in a container and then strain it, and then that's it.
Okay, I like that one.
Okay.
That one sounds better.
Next time I see you, I'll get some good. Actually, I have my best friend is from India. She got me some, and I still have this packet. So I usually it's like 1 teaspoon, and she told me that I should brew it, but I actually just put hot water, keep it in the, I have special mug for it, then strain it and just get. That's the best chai I ever tasted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you get the sweet versions in, specific stores, you're not gonna get the same experience, so you wouldn't enjoy it as much probably. Let's go on board 4 because on board 4, is that Alapin, I
Whoa.
think, that
Whoa.
turned out
What?
very suspiciously good for black.
I mean,
I told you those were the
I-
plans with the
look.
queen d7, h1. I've lost so many games on stream with this kind of thing.
hey,
That these days I'm
completely unbiased commentators. I'm smiling because I suggested h5 before it was played, and it worked out brilliantly. So, personal pride coming into play. This is insane. Black is crushing. I mean,
White didn't get much. I love the fact that black kept the king in the center, and didn't go for the pawn. Black never got their pawn back. Oh, g4. Oh, he probably thought he gets to play h3, and then he realized that he doesn't, and... No. d3, that's the, I told you, very typical move for the Alapin. Oh, that's not looking good. Could white have played h4 themselves to stop that, or h3 at least, when you go h5 to go g4 at least?
yeah, h3. I
H3.
actually like I play a lot of fianchetto setups with g6, and it's not uncommon for someone to start pushing this pawn. And I found a lot more success with moves like h3. It's not always the best, but somewhere practically speaking, locking the pawns this way rather than with h4 is just easier to play. And so I do like this h3 move. Okay, black probably would have played queen d7, king h2, maybe not king h2, I don't know, b4. Yeah, you play b4 and you get this setup. I think if you're going to go for a g4 blend, yeah, that does make a lot more sense. I don't really understand queen c2 first before playing b4.
No, the queen, I agree. Casual player mentioned this earlier. The queen should go 24 for white for sure. c2 is easily attracting some bishop f5, some d3, and...
Yeah, because I mean, d3, it doesn't even... I don't even feel like it discourages d3. I feel like it actually encourages it with now some knight d4 ideas. But this position's just fantastic. I mean, black is completely dominant on the light squares now. I don't think this king ever finds permanent safety. You're always going to have to watch out for it. And white doesn't even have an extra pawn anymore, because this pawn on g is gone.
Defense is not going to come easy for white here. You need to push the e pawn. I don't know, e3 maybe? I don't think e4.
Here's the question. What is the attack? Oh, no, bishop g4 though. Queen f5 ideas?
Yeah, or simply taking f3 and queen h3. How do you defend?
Yes. Which would also apply to
Mm-hmm.
e4. Yeah, bishop g4 and take. Which may also apply if you play knight b3. Maybe bishop e4 now with the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the main attacking idea for black is basically take on g3, play queen h3. First, you undermine e2. So that, I mean, does that, if I take, do I just...
Bishop g4, right? Same thing.
Oh, now you have queen e2 though. So it's not...
Okay,
it's
so...
not over.
So in this position, black technically could also take in d3 instead of bishop g4, right?
Yes, which...
Is it good?
You take with
you wanted the queen.
Take with the queen. And then bishop g4.
I was actually thinking bishop, but I like queen.
Yeah,
because you're pinned, then you're
this
stuck.
Is pinned. That's really bad for whites. I mean, this knight is stuck defending. This is pinned. Like, how do you even move? I guess queen b3.
Yeah, knight d4 idea. Yeah, that's eventually we want to do that. But the rook was open, so the rook can take your knight. Just over. That's the problem.
Yeah, maybe like a d4 move after bishop g4 there to open it up. No, because bishop c2 exists. He can't play. I don't know. This looks.
This looks good for black.
I mean, this looks over for whites. Knight b3 was played. Bishop e4. Bishop e4 is a bit trickier. But if you understood from the other lines that bishop g4 was really strong, and obviously you want to keep d3 protected against rook takes d3, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't even have knight c5 because bishop takes.
Right.
What about, does the bishop f4 help at all?
Maybe. You bring the bishop to g3, cover some
No,
stuff.
but bishop h4, okay.
No,
Apparently,
no.
because rook takes d3. Rook takes d3 now. Okay, so we don't want to take. Play queen h3 first.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop g3. Take bishop h4.
Yeah, that looks very bad. Bishop f4.